Sabine Hossenfelder, a physicist and researcher at the Frankfurt Institute for Advanced Studies in Germany, was riding in a taxi with a young man one day, and when he found out that his passenger was a physicist, he immediately asked, "Can I ask you something about quantum mechanics?" Sabine agreed, "Okay." And he said, "A shaman told me that my grandmother is still alive thanks to quantum mechanics. Is that true?" Sabine took a moment to think about his words. And after thinking about it, she realized that it wasn't entirely wrong. But there's a catch: it's not about quantum mechanics at all. In fact, it's about Einstein's theory of special relativity. According to Sabine, it all comes down to the reality of time. It's about how important this very moment, the now, that we are all experiencing, is. Physics can tell us a lot about big existential questions, like life after death. Sabine Hossenfelder wrote a book about this, Existential Physics, a scientist's guide to life's biggest questions. As Sabine pointed out, before Einstein, time was considered a universal parameter, the same for everyone. We all shared a common now and could agree on this. But Einstein said, it's not that simple. The reason is that the speed of light is finite, and nothing can be faster than it. And it is the same for all observers. This seemingly simple statement actually has very important consequences. Here's an example. If you look at a screen in front of you, you are sure that it exists right now. We intuitively think, of course it is, I am holding it in my hands or seeing it in front of me. But we know that the speed of light is finite, which means that nothing can be faster than it. Therefore, everything you see with a slight delay. Everything you observe, you see as if in the past. How do you know that something exists at this moment? What does the concept of now even mean? This is the problem that arises in Einstein's theory of special relativity. Einstein tried to create the concept of now in his theory, but failed. Imagine, you are looking ahead, and a train is passing in front of you. Your friend Alice is standing on this train. At the moment when Alice, standing in the middle of the train, looks at you, lights flash at the same time at both ends of the train. The question is, did these flashes happen at the same time? From your point of view, this is simple. Both light sources are at the same distance, so the flashes are visible at the same time. But what does Alice see? While the light is coming towards her, the train is moving. She is approaching one light source and moving away from the other. As a result, the light from one source reaches her before the light from the other. She will say, no, they did not happen at the same time. And here is the point: this is relativity. Nobody is right and nobody is wrong. Both opinions are correct. So what does this mean? That we have no clear idea of what is happening now. Everything depends on the observer's point of view. They are both right. If we follow this logic further, it turns out that any moment can be now for someone. This applies to all moments of our past and future. This phenomenon is called the relativity of simultaneity. It is important because it shows that our perception of the moment now does not have much meaning. To explain this and the finite speed of light, Einstein combined space and time into a single whole called spacetime. Because the moment now has no fundamental meaning, all of spacetime exists simultaneously. This phenomenon is called the block universe. In this block universe, the past, present, and future all exist simultaneously. It is impossible to single out one time as special. So the past in which your grandmother is alive exists just as much as the present moment. There is another way to explain that people who are no longer with us still exist in some sense. It has to do with the way the fundamental laws of nature work. They do not destroy information. They only rearrange matter and radiation according to certain rules. These rules can be applied to the future as well as to the past. If we had a perfect computer, we could always find out what happened in the past. Information does not disappear, but it can become virtually inaccessible. There are two cases in which information can be destroyed, and both of them have no solution yet. The first is information that falls into a black hole. We still don't know what happens to it. The second case is the mysterious measurement process in quantum mechanics. When someone dies, we all know that it is no longer possible to contact this person. The information that made up his personality is dispersed in subtle correlations in the particles of the body and intertwined with the surrounding world. Over time, it spreads as radiation throughout the solar system, and then throughout the universe. But this is the human view of things. Who knows what will happen to our nature in billions of years? Perhaps some cosmic beings will appear who will be able to access this information again. It sounds crazy, but our laws of nature, Einstein's theory, and modern physical theories indicate that our existence goes beyond time. The information that makes up us and the world has a timeless quality. This is a deep spiritual thought that comes from studying physics. It is difficult for me to intuitively grasp this. Mathematics explains everything clearly and logically. But in everyday life, it is much more difficult to comprehend. However, as a physicist, I trust the scientific approach to understanding the world, so I take this seriously.